Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of the Newsroom. This will complete our interviews with the mayoral candidates. This afternoon we have, I'm Byron Tate, editor of the Pine Bluff Commercial. We have Charles Washington with us today, mayoral candidate. Welcome, Mr. Washington. Thanks for
Thank you,
joining
Mr. Tate. Yeah, it's a pleasure being here.
So, of all the candidates in the race, I guess some had, trying to think if any of them had not made some headlines over the past year or two. I think to get us started, tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from? What brought you to this point, and what got you in the race?
As you said, my name's Charles Washington. A short biography would be that I'm from Gould, Arkansas. Graduated from high school in 1972. Couple of years experience moving around job to job.
Was that in Gould?
In Gould.
Gould had
Yes,
they go to Dumas now.
yes, the Gould school system has consolidated with
Yeah.
D.C. County. Yes, it is. But joined the Marine Corps in 1974 from boot camp. Went to Millington, Tennessee, Naval Air Station, Memphis, where I picked up my primary MOS, which is aviation communication control electronics. I was an electronics technician, communication technician at air traffic control facilities throughout the Marine Corps. So anything from the radios, the communications systems in the ground units like police cars and everything else, all the way up to the radios that communicated with the aircraft themselves. So that was the first thing. I stayed in the Marine Corps for 22 years, and during that 22 years, I picked up two more MOSs. One of them was
What does that stand for?
Military Occupational Specialty.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I know military has a lot of acronyms.
Yeah, a lot of acronyms. There's an acronym for just about everything. Yeah. But picked up an MOS as a nuclear ordnance technician. It was a temporary assignment. I did that for 3 years, and then also I wore the hat. Now, to a lot of Marines, that is self-explanatory. I was a drill instructor.
Oh, wow.
So yes, I wore that hat. Got out of the Marine Corps in '96. Took a couple of jobs. Worked at Tyson over on Second for a short while, and then I became a Pine Bluff police officer. One of the most fulfilling jobs that I've had in my life was being a police officer. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy my time as a Marine, but the thing that I got from the police department is the opportunity to interact with the public. People will sometimes say, well, I thank you for being a police officer, and they also say that, well, thank you for your service when I tell them I was in the Marine Corps. And in both instances, I will tell them thank you because it's the citizens of the United States that paid for my first trip on an airplane. That was when I went to boot camp. And then when I became a Pine Bluff police officer, this city paid me to ride around in an air-conditioned car and to meet people. And so I thank them for that.
I guess occasionally you had some stressful situations while
Yes,
driving around in your airplane.
Well, I'm not going to say it was all like a bed of roses or anything like that. No.
So what years were you in the police department?
I joined the police department in '98 and reluctantly resigned in '08.
Okay.
I took a job that offered a bit more adventure, for one thing, uh, a chance to do something different, see something different. Now, while I was a police officer, I got my FTO certification, field training officer certification, and my instructor certification, meaning that I was certified, if not qualified or accepted, but I could have gone down to the academy with that certification and become an instructor at the police academy.
Right.
So I enjoy the teaching aspect of all of it.
Did you have any trouble getting through the academy?
Beg pardon?
Did you have any trouble getting through the academy?
No.
I've heard it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, but it's
No
pretty much a cakewalk for me,
no
as I've already.
Corps.
I had made it through boot camp,
Yeah.
and I think if you can make it through Marine Corps boot camp, you can make it through just about any situation in life. But in '08, I received an offer to go to Afghanistan and train police officers under State Department contract.
Did they call you up? Did they call you up and say, would you come?
Oh, no. I got the information from one of the officers here. A couple of officers had gone over there. They had heard about the program. They volunteered, they'd gone over there, came back, told me about it. And that sounds interesting. So I applied for a job, and with my resume, please come along. I decided that I would go to Afghanistan. Initially, I was going to go for a year. I got over there, and I enjoyed the job. Kind of dangerous at times, but
you were a Marine Corps guy.
Yes, but it was the teaching aspect of it that most interested me. And so I got over there, and after being there for a year, I decided I'd stay for another year, and eventually ended up that I spent 7 years in Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
First working with the Department of State on the Afghan police program, and then working with the Department of Defense on the advisory program.
7 years.
Yes, it was.
So did you, while you were there, did you like acclimate to the culture there? Did you eat Afghani food? And I mean, was that, or are you so separated from that world that it was pretty Americanized?
As far as going out and experiencing the culture out in the city, that wasn't a safe thing to do. Yeah. About the only time I ever got into a city was to do a walking patrol with the police officer, or riding through the city.
Is that when we were trying to establish some industry there? Like
the United States government's purpose there, I can't state overall, but my purpose there was to take a raw recruit, a vetted recruit, and take him from recruit training through his first assignment. That was part of my job. Another job was to go out to establish substations and mentor to the police officers out there in finance, logistics, operations, personnel, training.
But these are Americans.
No, these are Afghan. These are Afghan nationals.
Okay.
So I mentored at the substation level, at the district level, and at the provincial level. Now, provincial level is kind of like the equivalent to a state.
Yeah.
They have 32 provinces. We got 50 states, and so I was mentoring to police officers and some border patrol at the provincial level.
Well, I could just go on and on asking you questions about that experience.
Oh, I
That's
could go on telling you stories about it too.
Well, tell me. There's more to you than the things you have just told me, I'm sure. But how does that background? Why elect you as the mayor of Pine Bluff? What in your background tells you that you can ask the voters to elect you?
I moved to Pine Bluff in 2000, and when I moved to Pine Bluff was a vibrant city. It always in motion, places to go, places to eat. And during my time here, I saw some of the problems that started to develop. Went through the thing that the whole United States went through. I saw Pine Bluff go through a crack epidemic. It was prevalent all over the United States.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so that started to contribute to the problem and a few other things, and I just saw this downward slide, decrease in population. In some cases, decreasing in educational opportunities, job opportunities. Just like I said, slowly going downhill. And one of the things that I saw mostly was that it was driven by crime. And I get a chance to see it firsthand as a police officer. Okay, so I went, like I said, to Afghanistan. I came back and thought I was going to retire. And I had pretty much retired. And I think not only retired from work, but kind of retired from life. Watch Pine Bluff continue to decline. I could see the things that were, some of the things that were causing the decline. Like I said, first thing being crime. And I'd sit around and complain about it. Complaining doesn't do anybody any good. It adds to, now we know more about what's wrong. We know about it, But what was I doing about it? And I wasn't doing anything but just adding to the noise of the other complainants. What can I do about it? Become active in the government, of Pine Bluff. What's the most effective way for me to bring about change? The highest position in government. So the only way that I can affect change is to be the leader. And we can talk about leadership. And I felt that I had the experience, the leadership ability. I've lived in this city. I could go on and on the reasons why I felt that I qualified to do it. But just the qualification in itself is not enough. There has to be a desire. And I became pretty much consumed with it. I need to do something, not anybody else. Because I can't, no matter what the situation, I can't blame my situation on anyone else. It's for me to correct the situation. And in this case, the situation was my living condition here in Pine Bluff. And so I decided that I would go ahead and do it. I had spoken to some people previously about it. I had a couple of conversations with Mayor Washington. I didn't really express any ambition at the time to run for mayor, but she at one point she asked me if I had ever considered running for mayor, and I told her no, wasn't involved in politics, wasn't involved in the government. dissatisfaction with the present government, and I'm not saying just Mayor Washington. I'm talking about the people that preceded her also. I wasn't satisfied with it. It wasn't progressive enough to my way of thinking. A lot of the issues that were important to me, that are important to me, weren't being addressed. Like I said, one of them being crime. Okay, we talk about crime. What are we going to do about crime? Okay. And I can get into that later as far as what are we going to do about it.
I've got some questions about crime.
There were a lot of things, and one, to put it in a nutshell, I didn't like the direction that the city was going.
Okay.
And I felt that, and I feel that I have the insight, the ability, and an evolved thinking process about what is going on here, that I can bring fresh new ideas to the problems that we face every day. And so, I just jumped in.
I'm picturing you with the Gossett Jr. hat with your staff up at 5 a.m. as a drill instructor. So what would, you're elected, what would the city look like? What changes would have been made in 4 years under you?
4 years under me would be more of a building process. I consider myself to be like the captain of a ship that's adrift. Okay. One, I got to make sure that the ship itself is ship-shape, and then get it back on direction, and plot a course. Now, over the next 4 years, with innovative programs, and like I said, we'll talk about these later on, innovative programs within the police department, community involvement with the police department, take care of the crime. I look at my nieces and nephews, and I'm concerned about the world that they will grow up in, the Pine Bluff that they will grow up in. And I don't want my nieces and nephews, and I do have a child who lives in this city right now. She attends school out at Chapel. I don't want her to grow up in a city such as this. I want her to grow up in a city where there are progressive thinkers concerned about her welfare, her education. I don't see that. So get the community involved, and you hear that from me a lot, community involvement. Get the community involved, reduce the crime rate, take a closer look at our education and our educational system. What is it that we're teaching our kids? What is it that we are omitting in the teaching of our kids? Who is it that's influencing our kids? Community involvement. As a parent, a lot of us don't even know whether or not our kids are at school. And so the kids, the crime, and education. I think those are my first three right there. I think an educated populace is a more productive populace. If you don't educate them, what can they do? They're not really qualified, certified, or educated in a lot of the things that they need to do.
We hear that some, that the reason businesses won't come here, not that they don't think they could couldn't make a profit, it's just the available workforce or a trained workforce. I know CARC has been about trying to change that, I'm sure in its own way, UAPB with various degrees, but that does seem to be an issue.
Mm. And I don't consider myself to be a jack of all trades, but I'm a jack of many trades, and I've mastered a few of them. So we have to get to the students, get to our kids, and get them to understand that they need to broaden their horizons. Know a little bit about this, know a little bit about that, so that you can help yourself in most situations. You mentioned something about CARC and training a workforce. Well, not everybody is going to be the CEO. Somebody has to sweep the floor. Somebody has to operate the machine that cleans the floor. Somebody has to, on and on and on. No matter what the industry, between the CEO and the lowest worker, there are a variety of trades. I'm going to college. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to be the boss. Well, everybody can't be a boss. So just in case you don't become a boss, what else within that company are you qualified to do? So you have to have a variety of experience and several different trades.
So I've asked all the other mayoral candidates something along these lines. Do you have a thought one way or another about Go Forward Pine Bluff?
I wasn't involved in government, like I said, not that much. I spoke with Ryan Watley when they first proposed Go Forward Pine Bluff. And at the time, it sounded like a pretty good idea. Now, what happened between the time that they voted it in and they voted it out, I'm not sure what happened to the monies or anything like that. But I don't think that the monies that were invested in Go Forward Pine Bluff went to projects that I would necessarily have put in effort to.
Like a go-kart track?
It's something that would generate an interest in the city and probably some income. I know it's going to generate some income, but that's a good idea. Yeah, a go-kart track. But we are at the same time serving a shrinking population. And so while I think a go-kart track is a good idea, maybe I would say maybe the timing was a little bit off, because I would have
That's one of the projects.
I would have placed my priorities and my monies somewhere else.
Okay.
All right.
If you were the mayor and it took your vote to put another proposal by Go Forward Pine Bluff to extend their sales tax, would you vote for that or would you vote against that?
As I said, I'm not sure where their revenues are going, and I would have to sit down and take a deep dive into how they get their money and where they're spending their money. But more than anything else, what do I get out of it? And when I say I'm not talking about me personally. When I say I in this sense, I'm talking about the citizens of Pine Bluff. So if the majority of the citizens doesn't benefit, then I'm not for it. So like I'm saying, I'd have to look at it real close and make a decision. And if I had to cast a vote, I would have to say it would be any yes or no vote would be contingent on what I got out of my deep dive. I looked into it, and if I think that it is the best thing for the city or a better thing for the city, then yes, I will vote for it. It seems like 50% of the people want it and 49% don't, or 49% wants it, but comes down to I am the deciding vote, and so I'm going to try to vote
Okay.
the people.
Okay. Pine Bluff just ended last year with 28 homicides. 11 of those were to teenagers. The number puts us at 11 times the national average per capita. And from what I understand, from what I was able to glean from the internet, big cities, a ranking of big cities based on per capita homicides, had St. Louis as the most dangerous. We're a couple of ticks above them. Again, we don't get put into that category because we're much smaller. But per capita, we actually outdid St. Louis. So we have a crisis on a humanitarian level with our citizens dying, a lot of them who are not old enough to even have experienced much of life. And then we have, I guess you could say, a public relations problem, or quality of life. Who wants to move where things are that bad? What can a mayor do to push back against that narrative, to make a change in that narrative?
Well, that's a hard job for a mayor. That's a hard job for any one person. And once again, one of the things, community involvement. And community involvement has to start at an early age. As for, when I say an early age, start teaching these kids about the dangers of life, the facts of life, on and on and on about life. And we start them in the home and try to keep them out of the street and out of those situations to start off with. So, as mayor, one of the things, address some of my concerns to the parents. Because like you said, these are kids out here killing kids with automatic or semi-automatic weapons.
Actually, I heard automatic.
That's a few. Oh, yeah. And especially now with things like the bump switches and everything else. Yeah, you can quickly turn a semi-automatic into an automatic. So yeah. But that's a long road. I'll tell you this right now. I am a strong advocate of the Second Amendment. But when we raise this ready militia, who are we going after? Are we going after the enemies of the country from outside the country? Or are we hunting our personal enemies inside the country? And that's what it's coming down to. So, Second Amendment, yeah, you got a right to have a gun. I encourage that. You don't have a right to go and shoot a fellow citizen because that citizen was on Facebook and said something that you didn't like. And so, goes back to the thing, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yeah. relax because I'm not going to go out and kill someone just because they said something about me. And we have to make it, as parents, have to make that understood. You can't just go out and shoot somebody because they said something bad about you. Well, I'm going to go, no, you cannot do that. And so we got to start in the home. Guns are not the answer to start off with. Not the answer to your problems. And so, as the mayor, talk to the kids too. I would love to get a whole field full of them and be able to address them and talk to them from my standpoint as mayor. You are misguided in your thoughts, misguided in your actions, and I would tell them that. So that's one thing I can do as mayor. Talk to the parents, talk to the kids.
You mentioned Second Amendment. I don't think anybody would argue with Second Amendment rights, but you've probably heard this, and I recorded it on New Year's Eve, the war zone sounding gunfire of New Year's Eve, and some people on Facebook said we hear that every night of the week. Don't we have some responsibility to handle guns wisely or judiciously? I mean, what would you as a mayor lobby the public not to do such things? To me, I'm wondering if that casual way with firearms extends to a casualness with teenagers with guns.
Firearms training, for one thing. Having respect for that weapon that you have in your hand, and it is a weapon. It was designed to kill.
It's not a New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I'm saying, no, it's not just New Year's Eve, but it's designed to kill, okay? And so knowing that it's designed to kill means it can be very dangerous. And so start out with safe gun handling classes before they even get a gun. Teaching them the dangers of the weapon, but also having a respect for the weapon. But respecting the weapon does no good if you have no respect for another person's life. Because now you know you got a gun, you know exactly how to use it and everything else, and keep it safe. But if you have no respect for another person's life, then now that makes you a more efficient killer. So we have to talk about how we use our guns also.
So how's your campaign going? How's your campaign going?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I thought about it. I thought about this before I did it a little bit, and then had no campaign strategy. I have no campaign committee or anything, and basically it's just me.
It's just Charles.
It's just me, and so I have no idea how to gauge how my campaign is going right now.
You have supporters, I guess.
Yeah,
people. You have supporters.
I have supporters, and I have a lot of people saying that, well, I like you better than I like any of the other candidates. So I know you. I've known you since you came to Pine Bluff. And I have people who still call me Officer Washington. And Officer Washington, because they respect me for the job that I did as a police officer. But those people that I don't have contact with, I have no idea what's on their mind. So I don't know. I would like to hope that the word is getting around that hey, Charles Washington is running for mayor because you don't see any signs. I had no campaign committee or anything else, and no money to put into a campaign. And I'm trying to do a little bit of fundraising right now, but I think just from word of mouth, just people knowing that I'm running, I'm like, "Hmm, I think I might give that a try."
Well, maybe
I
a few
think-
people will see this and
you know,
have a thought about it.
I know Charles. I work with Charles,
Right.
you know, and he's always been a straight up guy with me. I can go on and on about Charles Washington and about my character. And so there are some people who say, well, you know, I know him and he's a pretty good guy. He's straight up, and I can go on and on. And I think that the way he carry himself and the things that he know and the things that he done, he would make an excellent mayor. But like I said, a lot of people don't even know I'm running. So it's hard for me to gauge my campaign right now. Okay.
Well, I don't think anybody has the has the money to do surveys, do polls. I mean, those are expensive. So I don't think you're unique. I'm not sure. I mean, other people may be surrounded by more folks, but I don't know if anybody knows. You know, well, I'm polling at 28% or whatever.
Yeah.
So do you think, you know, the go forward tax is rolling off in September this year? 5/8 cent tax. Do you think the city needs to replace that with another tax to keep the ship running, or do you think we just let that roll off and not have a tax?
One of the things that I said when I was talking about becoming the captain and giving the ship some direction, one of the things that I said is first inspect the condition of the ship. And so in inspecting the condition of the ship, if there are holes or anything like that, first we have to patch the hole. And so if it takes some type of tax to get this city, what we say, seaworthy,
Yeah.
yes, I would vote approve a tax. Yes.
Do you feel like everybody is seated at the table in Pine Bluff? You think all players are?
No.
No.
There are a lot of people in Pine Bluff. I don't believe they are truly represented, in the government of Pine Bluff. You know, I go to different places. I talk to people from all walks of life. And then when I look at the government of Pine Bluff, I'm like, okay, I know John over here, but nobody on this panel or anything else knows John or cares anything about John. And so, as the mayor, I got to know John and Jim and everybody else and know what their problems are. And so, right now, I don't see everybody equally represented in government, no.
You said when you moved to town, over a period of time, you noticed the slide. And that kind of feeds into this question. We used to have population up in the 60s, 60-something thousand. We just keep losing population. And I think the last census, the 2020 census, has us 40, and you gotta figure that we're continuing, so we're probably in 38, 39,000, I'm guessing, range. You see businesses that have closed up. Actually, last year we had I think it was last year, we had the grocery store on East Harding closed up, and then it may have been actually the year before that. And then we got Haverty's Furniture's closing this year. Certainly there are other businesses around town. You've seen that, living here. Can a mayor do anything to stem that sort of deterioration?
A mayor? No. Because this is a collective effort. The mayor can look and propose and do everything else, but it's the city that has to move. And so the mayor has to look for every opportunity to bring businesses, revenue, quality of life, and a lot of issues into it, but it's incumbent on the citizens to make any plan that the mayor devises. They have to make it work. So the mayor, in a sense, is powerless to do anything. The community, I think we can do wonderful things if we can get us all together.
Okay. The other question, and you mentioned education early on, so that feeds into this, really what is my last question. You know, the Pine Bluff school system was on the ropes. It took over the also on the ropes Dollarway School District. It has now been sort of kind of turned loose by the state. It has, but we still are not under our own steam in terms of having picked our own school board members.
Okay.
But it is, and we passed a millage, and the school district's going to build a new high school. So the arrow is pointing in a better direction than it was just a couple of years ago. That said, it still has issues. And I'm wondering if there's anything that a mayor can do. You're not the superintendent of schools, not your lane, but you'd be a city leader. Can you work with a school district, and what would you do to help them reach their potential? Because, I mean, you remember back in the day, Pine Bluff was a juggernaut of a school district.
Yeah.
You said Pine Bluff, and people sat up and listened.
Okay. As far as the school being in crisis, that's pretty much state education issue. And once they go in, make an assessment of it, I look at it kind of simply. Is the problem administration, or is the problem education? If the school is being managed properly and the students aren't getting educated, then part of the problem must be the student. And I'm not going to believe that every student in the Pine Bluff area is a C and D student. So if the school is failing academically, it may be an administrative problem. It may be a state problem as to how this state pretty much directs it, how this student is taught, what this student is taught. That's part of it. The other part of it is, like I said, it all starts at home. If you have a failing school system, administration is doing everything that they can, the state is doing everything that they can, then now it's the student. And once again, comes back to community involvement. Do you know what your kid is doing in school? Do you know how your child is performing in school? Do you even care? Have you been to the school and talked to a teacher about your child getting a D in a class? Have you talked to your child about why he got this D? You know, so get the community involved. A lot of parents aren't involved in educating their children because they're not educated themselves. And so, like I said, educate the parents. The education is passed on to the student. And when I say education, I'm not just talking about books. I am also talking about life. And because my child may be failing because they don't have the opportunity to pay attention in class, because little Johnny wants to be the class cut up, he wants to be the class clown, he wants to be the class bully or whatever. And so now my child can't concentrate on their main purpose for being in school is to get an education, but also to learn social interaction. I can sit here, as a student, I can sit here with him every time the teacher's talking. Yeah, he got to say something. He got to hear clown and everything. And so I'm trying to listen to the teacher. I don't understand what he's talking about. So now my grade starts to fail because of another student. So, like I said, administration doing everything they can. State doing everything they can. Community involvement once again, but community involvement, as far as I'm concerned, also includes putting some pressure on the child to alter their behavior, to elevate their thinking about why they're at school. And yeah, you look nice, but did you learn anything? And so we have, as the citizens, the parents, the guardians, or whoever, we have to get those kids interested in school. And a lot of them, as parents, we don't know how.
Okay. Eclipse, do we have some questions from
Yes,
viewers?
we have a few.
Now, these are from people who are watching and
Voters.
voters.
Okay, well, I'm ready to talk to the voters.
Okay, what would you do about the drainage issue, especially when it rains, all the money the city got a couple of years ago, and the city hasn't done anything as I can see?
Okay. Our drainage problem, we live on a bayou, y'all, and that's just a fact. But there are main avenues of drainage. Some of them, the main avenues are obstructed. There are avenues where the water flows back to the river. They need to be cleaned out. There are areas where water could be diverted and it would drain off quicker. And so one of the things that I would do would probably, in conjunction with the Corps, maybe the Corps of Engineers or the city, look at where you have your drainage problems, standing water problems, whatever, and look at the most efficient and expeditious way to get rid of the water. Does that include maybe building some drains like down in the area of 21st, 22nd Old Main, in that area, where they got those big canals down there to direct the water? Everything feeds into this one big channel, and then it gets carried on out to the river. That would be one thing. I mean, I don't know if the Army Corps of Engineers would be able to help, but I'm sure they would be able to do some type of land survey and look and see where the majority of the water is standing and the quickest way to get rid of standing water. So that's one of the things that I would do.
Last question on here is, what will you do different than what's going on right now in the city of Pine Bluff?
Well, I would do a lot of things different. But as I said, there are a lot of issues. But one is crime, declining population. And I think that they're kind of like a circle. Crime goes up, population goes down. I ain't got enough money to support what it is that I do, and so I got to go rob, steal, or whatever, and so the crime goes up. And man, every time I go to work, I come back something missing. Population going, I'm leaving this city, and so now we have to get back to taking care of the crime. And like I said, one of the things is change the way we police. I don't know right now anything about how much money the police department gets, because I looked at a budget from last year and I have some idea. Yeah. But I don't know how much money they get, so I don't know if they are able to operate efficiently. One, I don't think they are. It may not be financial, but I know as far as personnel, Pine Bluff is short on police personnel. Okay, so look at the police department, and I keep talking about the community. Now, get the police more involved with the community. As I said earlier, I got paid by the city of Pine Bluff to ride around and talk to people. And I would pull over to a parking lot, see somebody standing. I didn't come over here to harass you. See a bunch of kids standing there? I didn't come over to harass you. Hey, what y'all doing now? No. I am genuinely concerned about what these young men are doing, because just because they're standing on the corner, they may be waiting on their partner to pull up with the basketball, and they may be going to the basketball court. But I won't know that until I stop and talk to them. I can assume. So, change the way we police. That's one way. One way. And one of the things that I know as a police officer, the police are not the ultimate authority. I shouldn't, totally innocent, run from the police. Why am I running from the police? Because last time I talked to the police, they jacked me up against the wall.
Or my brother.
Or someone. No, I don't want to talk to the police. So we have to, as a police department, get involved. Get more involved with your community. As a police department, try to sponsor activities that include the police officers, their families, and the community. Get your police actively involved and actively interacting with the community. Positive interaction. Because not all interaction between police officers and citizens is a positive experience. And so one of the things, try to ensure that any contact that any citizen has with the police officer is there to serve. And so any contact that a citizen had with a police officer, the police officer should be in service to the citizen. How may I help you? In most cases. And in other cases, I'm going to tell you how you can help me. You can turn around, put your hands behind your back, let me put these cuffs on you, and then you can go get in the car, okay? But it's not all, if that's the situation, you're still a citizen and maybe guilty, but that's not my job to determine your guilt, even if I saw him do it. And so that citizen still has a right to be treated like a human being by the police officer.
Okay. So do you have any, this is the point where we turn it over to the candidate. Do you want to give some closing remarks, talk directly to your supporters or those you hope your supporters?
As I've said, my name is Charles Washington, and I'm a candidate for mayor. I think I am the best candidate for mayor because of, one, my background, my age. I can go on and on about all of those things. But leadership ability and a willingness to work with any and every citizen in this city to find out what their problems are and to sit down and with them and talk as a group that we can come up with solutions. I can't solve everything by myself. And even if there is a problem and I have a solution, I still have to take it by the citizens of Pine Bluff because I'm a citizen of Pine Bluff and I wouldn't want anybody making a decision for me, even if I agree. I had no input in it. And so I want to talk to the people and get them interested in what's going on. With good, strong leadership, I think I have, like I said, I have leadership abilities. But more than anything else, I have a vision for Pine Bluff that extends beyond tomorrow or the next 6 months or the next year. When I walk out of that office 4 years from now, I would like to have made a substantial change in the way this city operates and also bring in more businesses. But more than anything else, I think, first I'll get the citizens involved in their own businesses. I look around and I think sometimes about the little problems that I have. Something as simple as litter. Downtown, got trash cans, all brand new sidewalk, brand new trash cans and everything. I see no excuse or reason for downtown to be littered. Now, if we as citizens start to take pride in our city, I don't know how much effort it takes to walk past and pick up a piece of paper that someone should have put in the trash in the first place. But it doesn't take that much of an effort from a citizen. So when part of it, you have to be Pine Bluff proud, and to make what they call it now, Crime Bluff, Prime Bluff. Where you all going tonight? Oh, we're going down to Pine Bluff. That's prime city for nice, quiet, comfortable entertainment and everything else. Okay. Well, why? Well, the city's clean for one thing. And last time I was down in Pine Bluff, it was trash everywhere. Well, there's a new feeling around Pine Bluff. People are cleaning up around their own city. Simple things like that. And so, as we go forward, we take more pride in what we're doing, more pride in our city. After 4 years, innovative thinking, applying new solutions to old problems. What worked very well yesterday doesn't work today in a rapidly changing world. So we have to evolve our thinking. And some people say evolution, and evolution is nothing more than the changes that we make over time. Now, some people don't see the difference between devolving and evolving. Right now, Pine Bluff is a devolving city. We're going back to the days where you could walk down the streets of Pine Bluff and you couldn't find a store open or anything like that because there was nothing here. That was during the formative years. Pine Bluff became a vibrant city, as I said. But lack of involvement, I think I just say an apathetic attitude from the citizens, and we have to change that. As the mayor, I would be out there every day talking to the citizens, letting them know exactly where we stand, where we are, where we want to go, how far are we away from it, how hard do we have to work. In 4 years after that, a 4 year in office, we will have looked at the problem with the street, come up with a solution. One of the solutions that I said was, like I said, specialization and miniaturization. I think, I haven't really looked at it, but it makes sense to me. I can take a small vehicle with the materials need to fix a pothole or a few potholes on one street, dispatch one person in one small vehicle with enough equipment to go fix those 5 potholes along this one block. That's one way. Don't use as much manpower, don't use as much gas. And it can get done more efficiently because smaller vehicle cost the city less, smaller vehicle use less gas, smaller vehicle will not be out there obstructing traffic except for while the vehicle won't be obstructing traffic, the workers will be obstructing traffic. Get it done and go look for the next pothole. Talk citizen involvement. Now, you know the pothole is there. Will you fix it? If the city supplied you with the necessary materials to fix that pothole in front of your house, would you go get those materials and fix it yourself? That's civic involvement to a degree that a lot of people kind of might find it like, that's kind of a strange or new idea. Right. We have to think of new ways to solve our problems. And so, and once again, civic involvement. The streets, the crime, everything. We as citizenry, we have to involve ourselves in the government because the government exists only through just the say-so of the people. We govern by edict of the people, but we are the people also. Oh, if you want to see it done, if I want to see it done as mayor, I'm sure you want to see it done as a citizen. I'm a citizen of this city just like you. And I have no problem picking up paper on the sidewalk. And if I'm the mayor, I'll probably pick up 2 pieces of paper now, because it's leadership by example. And so if I walk past a piece of paper lying on the sidewalk, I can't expect anything more from another citizen. If I throw trash, if I throw my rubbish out along some abandoned road, mattresses and things like that. I'm not helping myself and adding more to what has to come out of my taxes to get it cleaned up. Whereas it would have been just as easy to find a place where I could easily dispose of it. Now, one of the things I ask myself a lot of times is, how do I get rid of some of the trash? A lot of times, some of the trash that I have around my house, there are no facilities in Pine Bluff for disposal. A lot of the things I have around my house should be recycled. I don't know where to take these things to be recycled. Oh, someone might know how to recycle them, someone here in the city. So that creates job opportunities. And that's what part of what this conversation started about, the job opportunities is. And so get up, look for opportunities to clean up your city and make your money at it at the same time. Take pride in your city. I could go on and on about this progressive thinking. But thinking doesn't require any movement at all. You can sit down and think of solutions all day long, but until you put those solutions into action, you just did just that. Thought about it. I thought about it, but never got up and did anything about it. And so one of the reasons why I am running for mayor, I thought about it, and now I'm putting my plan into action. And I'm asking for the vote of the citizens so that these things that I see will come to fruition. Now, I can't be extremely specific about this, but in general terms, I think that I've laid out a pretty good plan. One, reduce the crime, but everybody talks about it. I'm talking about, I have talked about a plan in general to do that. Education, once again, something of a plan. Citizen involvement, parental involvement. The one thing that is very important to me are the kids. I can't go to the parks and have a good time because of the crime. So, How do we take care of that? I don't know. Once again, we're talking crime, police involvement. You going down the regional park? Yeah, I'm going down the regional park. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Don't take your gun down there because the police are standing there right by the gate to make sure that everybody goes into the park is safe. So if you're going down there to with your little gun and you want to go down there and shoot up regional park again, it's not gonna happen. And so, like I said, progressive thinking, a new way of looking at the problems, and bringing about solutions to the problem, innovative solutions. And that's what I want to do as mayor. I want to turn this city on its head. And by turning the city on its head, once we have lower crime, people coming back into the city, and more jobs. And that is what we're shooting for. I could sit here all day and talk about all of the things that's wrong in the city, and I can talk about how I want to make them right, what I can do to make them right. And I'm talking not as mayor, as citizen, personal responsibility for my own actions, and sometimes having to take responsibility for the actions of some of the people around me. I can't be permissive in a society or in an instance where there should be some restrictions. I can't allow to be permissive. Can't allow myself to be permissive in that situation. And we as citizens, parents, teachers, whoever, whatever our position of influence, we have to try to make the positive changes in the people that we become involved with, or that we are involved with. So, as your mayor, one thing I can promise you, you will see me because I want to be highly visible. As your mayor, you won't have to tell me about the problems. I'll be out there in the street looking for the problems or looking at the problems. And if I see the problem, it's easier for me to come to some resolution or some solution as to how to solve the problem. Nobody has to tell me, well, Mayor, I saw this and I think we should do this. I don't want to be a reactive mayor. I want to know what's going on in my city, and the only way I will know what's going on in my city, and I say my, I am a citizen of Pine Bluff. So when I say I, that includes everybody. But I want to know, and so the only way I can do that is be proactive, go around, look for it, and then talk to the people, tell them what I found and what I plan to do about it, how I plan to do it, and ask them if they are on board. I don't think that being mayor of Pine Bluff is the easiest job that I'll ever have in my life. But I think it would probably be one of the most fulfilling jobs that I could ever have in my life. To have the opportunity to do something for the city that I call home, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And with that, I thank you very much. Good luck and good day. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Washington.
Okay.
It's a pleasure having you.
I enjoyed being here. My first opportunity, to really kind of open up. And
Before before we end, I do wanna note, our last mayoral candidate, Stephen Mays, had a death in the family, and, he did not want to reschedule, but he did, leave us with a statement, that he said, as a candidate for mayor of the great city of Pine Bluff, I will focus on the following initiatives and issues: reducing crime, improving street conditions, improving the city image, economic development, community development, collaboration with citizens, and any other issues that need to be addressed, and allowing citizens to voice their concerns. Mays did not want to do much talking because he said he has already been serving the community during his capacity as a Fourth Ward alderman, and believes